Okay, so let's go to D tier. So D tier, we have some controversial leaders in D tier. I'm sure there's going to be some people commenting on the video about this tier. So we got Anders, Serena, and Johnson. So Anders, Serena, and Johnson. It's funny how most of the UNSC are in the lower tiers. Probably just because I mean choppers and ghosts are just
I was
absurd,
gonna
but
say it's the entire bottom tier there. Yeah.
but yeah, like
No, you can
yeah.
ask.
So okay.
So
Anyways,
Johnson's at the top, right?
yeah,
Johnson's at the top
Johnson.
of D.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think John's
I
out of the three leaders. I think Johnson's definitely the better of the three.
I yeah, I actually don't have too much to say about that. I like where they're positioned. I really enjoy. I feel like especially since Anders got the R&D nerf, her position in ones is like
Mm-hmm.
really sank, and that's not like a standalone opinion.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
tons of people that think that yeah, that R&D nerf was really
it's rough.
what was yeah, it was really keeping her on top, and now Douglas is great, but it's not enough to make up the difference because you are competing with leaders that have much stronger abilities that early on with a Spartan leader,
Mm-hmm.
and you cannot make that up with Anders. It's just impossible with the R&D.
So let's say this for Anders. What leader powers would you like to go?
Ooh, how about you start with that, and I'll lean into
Okay,
that.
so for me when I play Anders, so army composition and let's say leader powers that I'm going for. I love research and development. Sometimes I'll double up on it, but a lot of times I will actually go for my mines for my second point, and then I go heavy infantry hero. So whether it be snipers, marines,
Keep it
hero,
by Garrison.
I get. A lot of times I do like to go research and development too. Like I said, arc defense would be my third. I typically stay on infantry, and then I back them up with Kodiaks whenever I can. So usually when I hit Tech 2, I'm going uh, upgrading my hero, upgrading my infantry, so RPGs for my Marines, and I get Sniper Cyclops with Gales, and then I get Kodiaks as well. Not like a crazy amount of Kodiaks. We're talking like two, maybe a third, But if I can get a few Kodiaks up, I like Sentinel Beacon. If I don't get a lot of Kodiaks up, I like Sentinel Synergy. If I'm struggling of getting them up and we're barely hanging on, then I like going turret drop. As for my last leader point, I really like to go into my Sentinel if I can. Like a Retriever Sentinel coming in is really nice. Yoda likes to call it the Kraken, but hey, I mean, but yeah. So the Retriever Sentinel is I would say the best thing you could do. But if you don't have the money, Sentinel Network is amazing leader power. It could win fights almost by itself. But
Mhm.
the reason I like to stick with infantry and vehicles, I stay away from air. I don't want to go vultures. I don't want to go hornets. I don't want touch air. No protector sentinels at all. So that way, my opponent is strictly anti-vehicle and anti-infantry, which makes the retriever sentinel so much more impactful because you have to build anti-air regardless if I have air or not, because the intimidation of that leader power is always there. Like if you don't have anti-air and I drop that thing on your head, yikes, that's gonna hurt. So that's the way I like to play Anders. So I don't even worry too much for Tech 3. I just
Yeah.
upgrade all my units on Tech 2, and I have a really powerful Tech 2. And instead of going Tech 3, I drop the Retriever in, and usually in the game from there. Okay, guys,
Hmm.
so we actually got another guest, Hayden the Chief, in here, and he's also going to be talking about Anders alongside with us. Now, Monkey or Hayden, either way, what are your thoughts on my play style with Anders? And is there anything that you think you would do differently, or you think should be done differently?
So you said arc defense over turret drop, right?
for third leader power, I think arc defense is really good in the moment. It's great for fighting armies. It's also really good against choppers and ghosts, and that's usually where it comes in the best is because we're in like chopper ghost meta right now, and that's where UNSC struggles, and that's also why UNSC is so low on the list, is because the dominance of choppers and ghosts. So I think that don't get me wrong, I think turret's still good, but I think that the arc defense being able to come in for that, but also whenever I get my retriever later on, it kind of is like little flares that go out to make the Reavers and Wolverines shoot those instead of my retriever. So that's typically why I choose arc defense. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know this. My trusted friend Rizilo, who's actually a professional Anders player, he actually prefers Resto 1 and 2 on the first 2 points. And I could see it. I could genuinely see it. The way he uses Anders, it makes sense to me. So what do you think? Maybe that
I,
might be something to consider with what we're doing.
I maybe if like because they nerfed R&D. I mean, R&D used to be a sheer like cut in half of like upgrades, which really was nice. Now it's much more balanced, but I don't really think R&D was what was busted. What people considered busted about Anders, a lot of the lower to mid tier people struggle with her Kodiaks, obviously, especially if they're UNSC. I think I think there's really three ways to play Anders. The way Fox is talking about, where you play a really aggressive Tech 1 and Tech 2, and you play for the Sentinel. You obviously got to get Sentinel synergy with that, so you can get the shield on the Super Sentinel when it comes out. That's a great way to play. I think another way to play, you'll see it a lot in like Team War, is people will do this like mass expansion. Basically, they'll take like one or two extra bases and they'll just make the Protector Sentinels off their bases. And once you get like the Sentinel synergy and the shield on those things, they become really good, especially with all their upgrades. They become really, really good air units. And I think the third way is just do the Kodiaks, just mindlessly spam Anders Kodiaks with the Sentinels. Um, I guess in the threes context, goodness, I guess in the threes context, the Super Sentinel sort of loses its like, um,
Potency.
yeah, because you have three sets of heals, you have three people with LPs to deal with that. Three people can make like anti-air, but in ones, I mean, that's a bread and butter Anders build right there.
Sure.
You just play for Super Sentinel. You really don't give a crap about getting to Tech 3.
Hmm.
You play really aggressive Tech 1 and 2 because your Tech 3 is your Super Sentinel. So, and you don't need to spend the power to get there. Plus, you need to bank that 1500 power for the Super Sentinel timing. So, yeah, I think she's she's good. Yeah, I'd agree with her placement though on your tier list.
Yeah. So she's ranking in at number 14 out of the 16 total right now. So she's the third from the bottom. But I genuinely do enjoy playing her. I think Sentinel Network is extremely powerful.
Hmm.
And so if you can't afford the 1800 supplies, 1800 power for the for the unit for the retriever, then you can go in and get the Sentinel Network, and that like it can win games by itself. Like Sentinel Network can literally win a fight by if you just have your army under Sentinel Network, it will do a massive amount of damage, especially if you don't have a lot of anti-air. But but yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of mindlessly spamming Kodiaks. It could definitely help, especially in teams. I don't think you should ever do it in ones, but maybe in teams, like you could support your team really
Hmm.
heavily with it. I think it could. I think it could work with Sentinel Beacon. Um, as for the Protector Sentinels, I think everyone should just stay away from that strat.
Really,
I don't. I think they're the worst air unit in the game.
really.
I think there's nothing worse than that. Like this,
Mm.
because I think if you go pure Hornets, that's going to be better than Protector Sentinels. And
I
it's
could
gonna save
see the. Yeah,
it's going to save a leader point too.
that's true.
That's
I
true.
could see the argument for that. Yeah, that's fair.
But here's the other thing: if you go that route, right, you're building air units, which is going to mean they're going to have anti-air, which is going to nullify your retriever in the later game.
That's
So
true.
they're going to
Yeah.
have Wolverines, they're going to have Reavers. So it's like you should avoid building Hornets, Protector Sentinels, or Vultures. So that way, because even in threes, right, like it's still better for that Retriever drop to be a surprise, just because the whole team is going to benefit. Like, yeah, it might not be as impactful, but it's still a really big play. And you can, especially if you drop it in with a teammate that's already pushing, that thing can really do some cleanup. So I definitely like it. I think that's her trump card. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna play Anders, a player for a trump card, I think that's the best way you can do it. Any thoughts from you, Monkey?
Oh, I think we covered most of it. I mean, as a closing thought, I think we could all agree. You know, our trusted friend Rosilo's opinion, Resto 1 and 2 is probably the best way you can do Anders, and I think we could close on that.
Yeah, false. Just for the love of God, do not do that. That is the worst thing.
I gotta agree with Monkey on that one.
That is the-
I'm telling you, like he's easily, arguably one of the best
The
players in this game.
the Roslo
and,
build.
You know, he's got an Anders playstyle that just works. You know, ever since R&D nerf, he's had a good point, and I'm gonna have to agree with him on this.
So the moral of the story, kids, is don't do drugs. Like,
Don't do drugs.
there you go.
Don't
but-
go him
but-
too as Anders.
So, anyways,
You know-
let's go. So Serena, right? So next in
Yeah.
line is Serena. Do you think that she belongs as the fourth lowest leader? Do you think that any of the leaders previous, Anders, Jerome, or Kinsano, is deserving to be in her spot? Or is she in a really good spot for her skill?
I would absolutely say all the bottom ones below Serena is fine. I really like where Serena's placement is, because you're essentially arguing for whether or not she's above Johnson, and
Sure.
that's a very tough spot to
I agree.
fight for. You know, so I mean, I think that Bison inherently is potent in and of itself when it gets, especially if it gets on a base. And by
Sure.
any means, if it gets on a base, that's going to ruin your game. It doesn't matter what leader you are. That's just going to ruin your game every time.
Yeah, I mean, her Bison freezing a base like slows the economy down, and eventually it'll freeze it solid. And while it's frozen solid, you get no economy from it. So I know whenever she first came out, mines and ice bearers used to be able to be put right next to the base instead of where they are currently. And people used to literally just go over there and put ice barriers around your pads and freeze your pads with the barriers, and it would just ruin your eco. And she was the best leader in the game when she came out. So I think we're all in agreement that she's there. What I want to get y'all's take before mine on what leader powers she should go for on the leader wheel. So if you could, Hayden, what about you, man? Like what leader powers do you think you should go for the first, let's say, 5 leader points?
I'm sort of a slave for Cryo Bomb. I really love Cryo Bomb a lot. I think that's like one of the best anti-airs, and that's really good to couple with like a teammate's LP as well. Interesting. Probably ice, block, or mine, depending on the situation.
So where would you go mines over ice barriers?
Yeah, that is a good point.
I could answer that. I think if you've got, like, let's say a niche, very niche situation where you've frozen a bunch of units, you don't have a means to crack them at that point in time, or you hit something with a cryo bomb, you don't have the means to crack it at that point in time.
Okay,
but then you hit them with the mines under.
Yeah, but we're talking first leader point. You don't have
Yeah.
any of this stuff on the first leader point. You
No, for sure. I mean, that's more a detail for like entailing, like because it's
Later
even
on.
better in the pairing late game, right? It's even better in pairing with the cryo
Oh,
bomb
okay,
if
I got you.
if it goes into later game. If we're
Sure.
solely talking about its early game purpose, then for sure, it would probably be just that niche situation where you've got a bunch of units frozen from what you've done earlier, and you need something to crack them, just or just to get some extra damage in, and the mines would be a great opportunity in that situation alone. I think that
So,
would
do
be a great
you
spot for them.
choose mines over ice barriers, Monkey? Like,
I'm
it
I'm
seems like
ice
you like them.
barriers all the way. I'm ice barriers all the way.
He's
All
like,
right,
I'm just trying to make an
but
argument for
but
it. I'm just,
well, you got to think about it.
okay,
There is a situation where
sure.
they can be good, and I think that situation is if you find a place where they you've frozen a lot of units, they're not moving. You drop some mines on top of them. There you go. There's some free kills and damage right there.
Okay, so Hayden, which one would you choose? If you had to choose one, let's say first leader point, mines or
I mean,
barriers.
I would say like 95 out of 100 would go ice barriers.
Okay, so I think we can all agree ice barriers is the better pick.
Mhm.
Mines are not useless, and you might can have a niche scenario with them, but for the most part, barriers, for multiple reasons, it allows you to get leader points faster. Every time you drop an ice barrier, it counts as you building a turret. So that throughout the entire game is going to be a big reason for you to get ice barriers. Now, just so you know, only the first 2 times you use it, it's going to work, because the way leader points works is you only get experience the first 5 buildings that you place of the same type. So, for example, you can place 3 ice barriers down per time that you use it. So the first 3 ice barriers count as turrets. The 2 on the next one count as turrets, but the 6th one won't. So that's something.
Let me
to
ask
know.
you something before you get too off there. So does that mean that your base turrets
Yes.
wouldn't count? Oh, really? They wouldn't count if
After
you've dropped ice blocks.
No. Okay. No. So no. Ice blocks and turrets are 2 different things. And actually,
Okay.
this also works with turret drops. By the way, if you drop a turret, it counts as a turret being built, right, for your leader point experience. However, the turret you drop is different than the turrets on the base. So you could build 5 turrets on your base. You can build 5. You could drop in 5 turrets before they stop giving you the leader point experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, just some interesting fact about barriers. But another thing is, your hero is very susceptible to mines when you lock her down. Unless you're locking down right next to a base where they can't throw the mines, or a mini base, which is a great place to lock her down. But if you lock her down anywhere else, mines being thrown on top of her is a problem that allows them to do free damage. Ice barriers, as soon as you click A or click on the leader power, it's going to delete the mine before it drops in. So if they throw mines on you, you can delete the mines with your barriers, and a barrier being exploded is the same freeze as a cryo bomb. So people not only have to move through them, but they have to be careful not to kill them while they're next to it. So I think personally, ice barriers are 100% the way to go. To the fact that you're getting more leader point experience, which matters. People have to tiptoe around them, and it slows people down. I like them.
I'm convinced after the leader power thing that sold me 100% of the way. I probably never buy mines again after hearing that. That's Wow.
So now the next question is second leader point, right? So, all right, Hayden, what about you, man? What second leader power? What do you like? It doesn't have to be one. Just which
Orbital designator.
Yeah. What is the what is it called where it just puts the ice on the turrets? Like that's the second
cryotech advances.
cryotech advances. Most of the time I'll go that. The only time I'll go Frost Ravens is if maybe I see like a bunch of scouts that are gonna counter my my Frost Hellbringers, my Frostbringers, or whatever they're called. Or if they have like a hero, I sometimes will go Frost Ravens. But usually cryotech advances. Then after that, I'd probably say cryo bomb, and then
Well, we'll do one at a time real quick. So, Monkey, what about you, man? Second leader point, which would you?
Ooh, same second leader point. I think. I don't know. The third one, and for me, it kind of just depends, really. Like, ooh, I don't know.
I almost never get seismic.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to want to get seismic because I hate investing 2 points into one LP like that. That doesn't feel right to me, especially when you can get something else that does the same function later in the match. I would say, depending on what I need, most of the time I find myself using Resto, which might not be the best choice, but I sometimes in that situation, Resto seems to work out for me. Especially on the Bison, because it receives the same healing as a building. So you get even more healing if you heal the Bison at that point. So it can be
So you're talking about third.
useful. Yes, third point. Yes.
So you would choose Resto third point. Hayden, what's your choice for the third point?
Most of the time, cryo bomb.
Well, that's fourth point. Cryo bomb's fourth.
Oh, what's third point? I don't know her
So,
completely.
Seismic and
by heart.
Resto.
Seismic, Resto, but you can also go back and get anything that you missed. So Frost Raven.
I'd probably get heal then.
Okay, so you want to hit. Okay, so my personal goals for, let's say, the first three. I like Ice Bears for what we described earlier. I usually go Cryotech Advances because it's really hard to push my base if I even if I just have watchtowers, right? Like I don't even if I just put 4 watchtowers on my base, it's like almost impossible to push my base with anything. Just because that aura around those watchtowers will slow you down so much. I don't know what it feels like. Her turrets on her base have a more potent freeze than the Icebergs. It's almost like it's like her hero's freeze ability on the turret, so it's really good. As for the third leader point, I like either going Frost Ravens or Mines. Typically I go Mines. I like Mines over Frost Ravens. But the reason I like to do Mines is I like to abuse her freezing abilities as much as possible. So for example, if I cryo bomb you, I would like to throw mines down at you, so that way whenever you unthaw out, they're going to explode and freeze you again. And the whole time you're frozen, I'm going to be shooting your army while you're frozen, so that way I'm dealing damage while you're frozen. And then whenever you thaw out, it not only does it explode, but you freeze again. So I get to sit there for even longer and attack. I haven't even said anything about Ice Bears. So even without Cryo Bomb, if I throw Ice Bears down and your army gets frozen with my hero and Ice Bears or Cryo Troopers or any one of those three, then I can throw mines at your feet, kill you while you're frozen, and as soon as you unthaw, boom, it explodes and it also freezes you again. And I think there's going to be so many moments where you're frozen and I can throw down my mines, so I really love getting mines for my third point. Yeah, so that would be my choice.
No, yeah. That's fair. It would pair with the cryo bomb pretty well.
Yes,
I think that's
yeah.
a good pair.
And I think
I could agree with that.
I think we all would choose cryo bomb, right? Like,
Yeah.
Fourth point given, everybody.
What's the other option? Is it turret drop?
Yeah, turret drop.
Yeah, cryo.
Yep. Fair. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, like Monkey made a good point. So like cryo seismic does about the same amount of damage as Isabel's Mac Blast, but it's slightly harder to avoid, so that's cool. But at the same time, Isabel's Mac Blast is going to be cheaper, and it's 1 leader point versus your cryo being 2 leader points, and it's more expensive because it's 400 supplies, 400 power when you add them together. So I think it's better to just cryo bomb and shoot the units while they're frozen. That's better than cryo seismic, and you can pierce other stuff like mines or ice bears or whatever you want with it. I don't like cryo bomb with ice bears, to be honest, but cryo bomb with mines I think it's a lot better. You're going to get way more damage out of it between your army shooting them and the mines freezing them for a second time. I think you're just going to get more value out of it. As for the last leader point, Glacial Storm or the Cryo
Our
Drop?
base is under attack.
Probably. I mean, you can do a timing for cryo drop where you get the canister shell, and you can just have 2 canister shell scorps with that drop. And I mean that drop does synergize with freeze, so that can be your like seismic, basically after you get a freeze. Although Glacial Storm, just dropping Glacial Storm on the base or dropping Glacial Storm on a choke point really affords you like a. If they're like pushing on you and they're coming in on a choke point and they have to go through your Glacial Storm, it's going to be really difficult to get any damage done. But Glacial Storm on somebody's base in lieu of the Bison is also extremely good too.
I might actually have to do a test with Glacial Storm on a Tech 3 base and like on an economy base and see the difference in income before and after the Glacial Storm and how much money it actually takes away, because I know it has to take quite a bit away.
Oh yeah, easily.
But I think I would be 100% for Cryo Drop. I you know, whenever we were talking about Consano, I choose Firestorm Battle Group over, you know, Napalm, and I choose the Retriever Sentinel over Network. Same thing here. I really like the fact that I get 2 veteran Scorpion tanks, which is really good. You get a Frost Raven and 2 Cryo Troopers with their auras as well. And I just think that's genuinely one of the better.
Does the cryo drop stun?
Yes, and it counts as a seismic.
And it counts as shatter?
Three seismics is what it counts.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, well then, I could see that. That makes sense. Yeah, I think Hayden's got a point though. There is a very niche situation, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could stun your way out too if you really need to. It's also very expensive to pull something off like that. So if you do use it for that utility, I mean, it's quite a bit of money for that drop. But I guess
You're getting so much population.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah,
So
it's a lot. I could see the drop. I could definitely see the drop. I would say that. You know, maybe if they're not guarding their main, it depends on how if they're not guarding the main, then the cryo drop 100%. But you can, if they're like they're a fortress, like they're just sitting there, like shielded up. You're not going to be able to push. They're sitting on they're sitting between 2 bases, like really close together, or they're sitting on 1 base. Maybe just getting a cryo drop off because you know you're not going to be able to push and use the glacial storm.
Yeah.
Instead, dropping the glacial storm because they're buttoned up and that you can't get an offensive window. Glacial storm might be the better way to do it.
Yeah, I can see that just for the fact that it's just an easy ability that you could just hit them with and keep it
And
moving.
it's relatively cheaper. It's a quite a income
yeah,
because you grow the income disparity.
it's half
at
the
that point,
price. It's
you know?
half the price. Yeah. So I would say 90% of the time probably you're going cryo drop, but there will be some niche scenarios where if you just think you're not going to get value out of the cryo drop, then glacial storm is just fine. Yeah, I could see that. So let's say Johnson. Do you think he deserves to be higher or lower than where he is placed as the 5th lowest leader?
This is just for one, right?
Well, I mean, like I made my list from a competitive 1v1 standpoint, right? But at the same time, yeah, like this could be for 2s and 3s as well. Like, I mean, this
if we're gonna go with where I think Johnson, I mean, for most of the leaders for this specific thing, I would rank Johnson in a higher spot for sure. If it's like higher numbers of people in the game,
So,
just for me
there
anyway.
a leader that we haven't stated yet that you think he deserves to be higher than? I can list the leaders if that helps.
No, no, I'm so anybody that let's go one of what's one above Johnson right now?
Just give us the
Who's-
order.
who's
Well, that's in a
Johnson?
different tier, and I don't want to reveal
We go,
that yet.
troops. Hostile.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right.
Read and understood.
But
Where's
as for
yours,
all
sir?
the leaders that we haven't
Enemy structures level.
named yet, so
Generator constructed.
let's say
All
you
units.
got Colony,
Leader power
Shipmaster, Atriox, Decimus, Cutter,
All
Forge,
units.
Yap Yap, Atriox,
Marines ready to serve.
Mortis,
We
Isbel,
ain't got all
Pavian.
day, Marines. Got a problem you
Yeah.
need fixing?
Okay,
Those are all
that's
the
fair.
leaders we
Yeah.
haven't named yet. Hayden, what do you think? Is Johnson better than any of the
All
ones that we
units.
haven't named? Is
All
there an
units.
argument to be made on this?
Smart missile research.
I'd say in a threes context, he is better than a few of the others, but I'd say in a ones context, no.
Double time.
Okay.
All
All right,
units.
so well then let's just get right into Johnson then. Where he sits.
Hold on. I'll make one more statement.
On it. All units.
Yeah, I think
All
from a
units.
diversity standpoint, Johnson should definitely be above any
Scott,
leader
right,
in the
right,
tier list.
right.
I think
No.
I think he's the best. I think he's just a great leader. I think Colossi are ridiculous. I think that just because he has them, even if he doesn't use them in that game, he's just ridiculous, and he deserves to be the top of the list.
Okay. All right. Anyways, so what do you guys think for your first two leader points? And Loki, we talked about this earlier, so I'd like to hear from Hayden. Like, what would you put for your first two leader points, Hayden?
For ones, I would definitely pick digging in deep, or digging in, and then bunker.
Leader
Okay.
power ready.
Monkey, what about
All
you?
units. Our allies are attacking the enemy base.
Or how about this
All
as well?
units.
Like, so you're saying ones, but like in twos and threes, you
All
think there would be a
units.
different route for you to take, Hayden?
Marines. Helping their crew.
Sometimes, because I do like Peli drop with like flamers. There is definitely a dispersion timing build you can do with him. That links up nice with that. Pelican, I don't know.
Enemy structure demolished.
Like if you go your leader, this doesn't really happen that often, but like it's like a UNSC teleport basically. Like you can play pretty aggressive with the leader, and rather than stick him in a bunker, let his health come back or his shield come back, you can just pelican him out. I mean, not many people do that. Most people just go bunker. Yeah, I'll probably go digging in and bunker, but in threes. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I could see the heal sometimes. But the bunker for like your buddy's leader is also really nice too. That get out of jail free card. Plus you don't get shot by snipers while you're in it, which is nice. You can't get rammed by choppers, which is also nice. You can drop it on mines. You can drop the bunker on mines. Yeah, I'd probably say most of the time just go digging in and bunker.
Okay. Monkey, what about you, man?
Oh, all the way. Pelican Resto Flamer Cheese, 100% of the time. There's never a bad time for it. No matter what anybody says, even if it doesn't get damage done, it's always a good choice. It's always the good choice. And especially if you're like a little freak and you like to micro the turrets so that this damage spreads out on the flamers, get them all healed up at once. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Like pick two buildings at the same time with the flamers, stripping two pads. I got my Resto, I got my Pelican, and I'm getting the back the map, baby. That's what I'm fucking doing. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, personally, like so I think flamer cheeses are fun. But I think if you're in a high-level competitive game, it's not going to work. I think the majority of the people in the game don't play at a competitive level, so if you guys want to try a flamer cheese, usually it's generator, supply pad, upgrade all the pads as soon as they're made, get a mini base, get 2 barracks on your main, barracks on the mini, lock both of them, triple pump flamers. Usually you'll have max pop around 3 minutes 45 seconds, and then you pelican over to the enemy base. The meta right now is ghosts and choppers, so in a high level game I don't think this is preferably the way to play. So Johnson usually excels on maps that are going to be where there's key areas on the map that you have to hold
Our
out and hang
base is
around.
under attack.
Like, let's say Mirage, Fissures,
All units.
Frontier,
All units.
or Vault
Supply
if
pad
it's
upgrade complete.
on a team.
Our allies are attacking
Rift
the
is
enemy
also
base.
another one that
All
Johnson
units.
does okay on.
All
But those are
units.
like the maps that he does better on.
Supply pad
Mirage
construction.
and Fissures Frontier is really his bread and
All
butter
units.
because he can hang out right where those minis
Affirmative.
are,
All units.
and he can really hold it down there.
Our
And
allies
usually
are
what I'll do is I'll go digging in
March
one bunker, and then I'll actually go
All
digging in
units.
two
Fire
for
base
my
constructed.
third leader point,
Supply
so that
pad
way I
upgrade
can
complete.
aggressively drop
All
in
units.
bunkers
Missile and shield
quickly.
requisition research.
So that way, if they're dying, I'm replacing them.
Enemy
instantly.
structure demolished.
And
All
that's
units.
kind of the way I like to play Johnson. I think it's the best way to play Johnson competitively.
All units.
But
Leader
I
power ready.
I've been known to do
Supply
a
pad
lot of
upgrade
flamer
complete.
cheeses in my day, so it's definitely a fun thing that you can get away with, and you can probably get some rank out of it.
Enemy structures rubble.
What do you
Leader
guys
point
think for
early.
third leader point?
Our allies are attacking the enemy
Probably
base.
EMP Mac.
All the way. Yeah.
All
EMP
units.
Mac. Yeah.
Enemy green.
The stun potential's too good,
Enemy
man.
structure
It's
demolished.
really good.
It's strong.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
and even if it's not stun potential, it's extra damage for
All
your
units.
units that get touched by it. That's really nice.
Yes. I think there's a huge argument to be made for EMP just for the fact that it does stun and it does damage, especially against scouts.
Enemy structures
If
rubble.
they're playing scouts,
allies are attacking
EMP is
the enemy
so
base.
good. You catch them in one
All
choke
units.
point with the EMP
Oh, yeah.
Mac,
Yeah.
you're like that almost guarantees the win right there. Like it's
Yeah.
so strong. But
All
that
units.
being said,
Enemy
I
structure
do really
demolished.
like digging in too.
All units.
Cheap siphon turrets
All
are nice.
units.
Being able to drop in more bunkers and drop them in faster is really nice. So
All
I think
units.
either one of those is a solid choice.
Our allies are
Um,
attacking the enemy base.
I'm not really going to argue for
All
one
units.
if they're in the other. I
Combat
think it's going to
station
just
upgrade
depend
complete.
on your game and what you have to deal with. But I think if I had to deal with like a lot of scouts, I think I would try to go Mac. And
Generator
yeah,
constructed.
that's. What do you guys think about fourth point?
Enemy
I
structures
think we're all
rubble.
in agreement on this one.
Mac
All
overcharge.
Absolutely.
All
It's
units.
the sight line for sure. Like you have to get the sight. Like you got to know what's
Remote
coming
sensors
in.
got it.
Remote
There you
sensors
go.
all the
All
way.
units.
You have
All
to.
your
That-
bunkers,
that's
remote sensors is the
arguably-
logical choice.
You got it because you got to think you're gonna go fifth point. Like siege turret drops, so you need the extra sight.
I
Fourth point.
All units.
This is gonna be a 2-hour video. The first hour
Ah.
is just monkey joking around.
Okay.
So I think mech
Yeah.
overcharge. Yeah, for the most
Yeah,
part.
easily,
As
easily.
long as you have some mechs to abuse it, then mech
Our
overcharge.
allies are attacking
Well,
the
yeah.
enemy
Hey, you know, fourth point could also be
Enemy structures
the
rubble.
siphon turrets too. If you want to go for that, that's also something you could go back for if you're not using the fourth point for mech overcharge. So
I
that
think
that
it
could
would
be.
be a little too late for that.
Mhm.
I don't know, but anyways, for the
It
most
depends.
part,
Only
mech
if you don't
mech
have the mechs.
overcharge.
If you don't have the mechs, then yeah, for sure. Then that would be a good pickup for the
Yes.
second point.
Marines
But
reporting for
so
duty.
let's say for the last point, anybody gonna have
Eyes
some
on
votes?
me, Marines. Marines ready to serve.
For me, it's always going to be combat salvage. But,
Marines.
yeah,
Okay.
I just
Hayden?
because of how
Supply
powerful
pad
it can be.
constructed. Supply pad upgrade complete.
Probably digging in deep.
Is there a reason you would choose it over combat salvage?
Command center upgrade complete.
My playstyle differs from Monkey a little bit. He would more than likely just go like mass colossi as quick as possible, or mass vultures. I tend to like when I play Johnson. I tend to just make as many like manti as I can, and just try to micro with those. Play for the Tech 3 upgrade on those. And so with that, you don't really combat sal like the manti. You
Yeah, you would lose money if you combat salvage.
Generator upgrade complete.
So-
Armory constructed.
so I just mainly go digging in deep.
The Garage
Yeah, I
constructed.
agree with
The
you.
enemy hero is down.
I'm digging deep all the way.
allies are
I think it's
attacking
just
the
a better
enemy base.
leader point. Makes him
Leader point
ridiculously OP. But if I am in a heated battle
Yes, sir.
with Colossus
I got
Puddle,
hostile.
usually I don't. Usually I'm just getting Tech 3.
Gear up, Leatherneck.
Or because if you play a really hard Tech 1 and a really hard Tech 2, you're not going to be Tech 3 that early to be able to use it. So
Did
yeah,
that garage
Digging D is
construction.
usually the choice for me. I think it's
Our
clearly
allies
just
are attacking
free
the enemy base.
generators and free supply pads. It just gets out of hand pretty quick because that's going to get you your leader powers faster to get to the combat salvage, but it's also going to put you astronomically ahead in economy versus your
enemy
enemy.
vehicle
So
on my
I think
six.
Digging deep.
Local
So
units.
for leader points, I think we
Looks like
all
we're down an
agree
infantry.
for
Oh,
the
all
first
units.
one is digging in, second one bunker, third one
allies are
is
attacking
between
the
EMP
enemy base.
and digging in 2.
All
Fourth is
units.
mech overcharge, and the fifth
All
one
units.
just depends on if you have a lot of Tech 3 units or not.
Units
If you
deployed,
don't,
sir.
then just
All
go digging
units.
in deep. If you do have a lot of Vulture Colossus, then
No
you
sweat.
can go
Combat station
salvage.
upgrade complete.
Does everyone agree on that, or?
Yep.
Yeah, I can come to terms with that. Yeah.